Just this once. And I want to subscribe.
Kaizoku.
This video is brought to you by Nengarden. To celebrate their 1-year anniversary, they're thanking fans with a huge sale. Nearly everything is $30 or less. Plus, you can use code Kaizoku at checkout for an extra 5% off your order. This video is brought to you by Adakai TCG. Shop the latest in premium holographic textured custom One Piece cards. Designed for collectors, crafted to stand out. Use code Kaizoku for 15% off your next order. This video is sponsored by Gungam.gg. See Western OP11 list and Eastern OP12 list on Gungam.gg. Updated daily. Be the first to see decks for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, Gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, it's time for the top 10 for OP12. This is week 0? No, it's like week -1 because the set's coming out in like 2 weeks. But yeah, everyone's been hopping onto OP12, looking at private games on the East. Their sample size has gone up quite a bit. I do believe the rank system guys switched their queue to using OP12 for their Western queue, but it still counts as an Eastern game on the sim. Yeah, there's like a mismatch between the two, and I have to kind of like course correct it. And we can verify this if we take a look at Western private games in the last week. It took a nosedive. No one's playing, no one can play ranked OP11 anymore, right? So these are games that just people playing private games on their own. But yeah, taking a look at Eastern private for the last week, we do have a lot more of a solid data set to look at this time. The population size of the people playing on the sim is mostly Western players, so we're seeing them all migrate. And yeah, so this is the rankings for this week -1. I'll do a week 0 and then a week 1 just to see if anything changes, right? There's going to be a bias, inherent bias towards the newer leaders, of course, just because everyone wants to try out the new tools or the tools that counter the new leaders. So to start things off with the top 10 here. Oh, this is my website, by the way, cardkaizoku.com. Shout out to myself. I always forget to do that. I'm a pretty bad YouTuber. So number 1 is Blue Purple Luffy. No one is surprised. It has remained the top deck even in the East. So coming over to the West, it's a deck that people know how to play. It's the deck to beat. So of course it's going to still show up at first here with a raw win rate of 55.09 and a weighted win rate of 53.47. It's weighted based on the number of games it plays, so that like decks with like only 10 games played, but they won 9 of them, aren't going to show as first with a 90% win rate. In case people ask, people seem to ask that quite a lot. I thought it was pretty self-descriptive based on the name of what the column is. But yeah, up at second is Rayleigh. You can just ignore the delta here. We're counting this as the first time we're looking at like a complete set of OP12 data. This is just comparing Rayleigh's ranking to what it was last week, which was like before like actual OP12 ranked data. But yeah, Rayleigh showing off a pretty strong start here, right? It's a super aggressive deck. It beats Blue Purple Luffy. It beats Zoro. No, actually, I take that back. I think it goes even with Blue Purple Luffy, but it definitely beats Zoro. We'll take a look at the individual leader stats too, just to see if we're right on that or not. And then Piss Kid at third. Piss Kid being the deck that beats Zoro, so of course it has to show up here. And then, of course, Zoro, the most played leader of this week at 22,000 games here, making up 12.71% of the play rate, 53.8% raw win rate here. Pretty high, pretty positive. At fifth, it's Bonney. I think Bonney goes even into Zoro, but get into Blue Purple Luffy. We'll double check that once we look at the top 10 individual stats. And then Green Purple Luffy up at 6th. Then Enel at 7th. Enel got a big boost just because he's good into Zoro as well. That's one of his new claims to fame. And then Red Green Smoker as well got a big boost from the same cards that buff Zoro and Bonney, right? These 3 green leaders all run basically the same top end now. It's kind of homogenous, kind of not cool in my opinion, but that's what happens when you print OP green cards that aren't locked to anything. And then Shanks at 9th, and then Blue Kuzan at 10th. So Blue Kuzan makes top 10. We see 3 new OP12 leaders here in the top 10 in week 1. Again, there's going to be inherent bias to these leaders, but they're gonna have to stand the test of time. I'm confident that Rayleigh and Zoro will, just because of what I've seen in the East. Blue Kuzan is probably like the best deck after those two, so we could see Blue Kuzan stay in top 10 or it could drop. It's still going to be a top 20 deck at least. I think it is a very strong deck. Let's see where the other OP12 leaders stack. So Koala at 13th here, just under Lucci and Blackbeard. Then Black Luffy. Kagura got a buff, so he's at 15th. Nami's up here too. Bella Betty also up here, but Bella Betty kind of dies to Zoro, so not as meta relevant anymore as she was. It's crazy. It just took one set to drop her from like top 5 to like top 20 here. And then Buggy up here as well, and Green Yellow Law, and then Yamato. So Which leaders have not shown up? There's Rosinante and Sanji still. So let's see where they're at. Sanji at 24th. Not too widely played at all, even though he's a new leader. So that could be why, right? The people who are the Sanji pros, the Sanji gods, just haven't picked up the deck yet. They're still to come, I guess. Where else? Rosinante. Who else? Where else? Where else? Who else? So not that Rosinante. Here he is, 40th. Yeah, literally the worst of the OP12 leaders. I would even say like kind of unplayable at the moment. I tried making a video for him. I couldn't get it to work. So that's why I haven't done a deck breakdown for him yet. I'll get it eventually once I kind of like figure out a build that is better than what everyone else is playing at the moment. But yeah, that's going to be our OP12 look, and then the top 10 of the leader rankings at least. And then we'll take a look at individual leaders and their deck. So let's do top 10, all 10. All 10 for you in this video. What a treat. I'm so sweet. Give me something good to eat. Okay, so Blue Purple Luffy does better going first than he does going second by a large margin. Good into pretty much everything here except for Green Purple Luffy. That's kind of his counter. And then Buggy for some reason going second. But going first, you demolish him. Very turbulent matchup here. Not an insignificant sample size either, 290 games. And then Purple Black Luffy, depends on who's going first or second. The rest of them are kind of even, but kind of favored towards Blue Purple Luffy, right? And good into Zoro as well. Slightly good into Zoro. And I do feel the effects of this. I think most of my Zoro losses are against Blue Purple Luffy. Whenever you queue as Green Zoro on the sim, the Blue Purple Luffys are like quick to join your game because they want to beat you for some reason. They have a vendetta against Green Zoro from what I've seen. Yeah, let's take a look at the deck list for the past week, if anything changed. I don't believe Blue Purple Luffy got anything new from OP12, and it doesn't look like they're running anything new from what I can see from any of these. So yeah, I break down the deck list into top overall. That takes into account the number of games and the win rate and the number of people playing that specific deck list. Then most piloted, that's the list that the most people played. Then most played, most amount of games. In this particular case, all three are the same. Then hidden gem, this one just takes into account the number of games and the win rate. It doesn't care about how many people play the deck. So you could be that one unicorn pilot that runs like a really efficient and really strong deck that won a lot of games. This would be the hidden gem. And it looks like the hidden gem is a 70.3% win rate deck here, played by 3 different people, but it looks almost exactly the same as the other list. What's different? So there's one less gear second and one more 2k Sanji. Okay, that makes the biggest difference here. Oh, and then one less Red Rock and one less Frankie for 2 more Thunder Bagua. Take with that what you will. But we can look in detail too if you want to see the price of the deck here at 252. Again, no OP12 cards, so every card in this deck is purchasable right now. So I gotta say this with every video I do, just bear with me for a second. So yeah, in my deck builder, I'll have it linked in the description below. If you click the show prices button, it shows the shopping cart links. If you click it, it takes you to the cheapest version of each card. And then for your convenience, there's a master entry button here. You click that, copies the entire deck list to your clipboard. You just paste it in the TCG Player's master entry form thing, add the entire deck to your cart in one click. And then you use your optimize button to get the least amount of shippers to send it to you. So both methods go through my affiliate link. So if you wanted to buy these cards anyway and you wanted to support me, and of course there's the convenience of just adding the entire deck list to your clipboard too, right? And adding it to your cart. So yeah, just an easy way to support me if you're going to buy these cards anyway. I would appreciate it. So yeah, Blue Purple Luffy doesn't look any different now that we see this up close. 1 pudding for tech, and then 3 God Threads, and then 2 Red Rocks and 2 Gravity Blades for removal here. Could see this change as it evolves in the meta, right? If it can patch up his Blue Buggy weakness and Green Purple Luffy weakness with some tech cards, maybe that might be relevant. Up next is Rayleigh, who does better going second by a significant margin. It's like 6% higher. His matchups are favored into a lot of the green decks, right? Yamato, Smoker, Law, Zoro himself. This is Rayleigh's claim to fame, a 61% win rate against him. The most amount of sample size here, right? 1,800 games is confidently good into Zoro, which is why Rayleigh is such a highly played deck. And then good into Purple Black Luffy, Green Purple Luffy, and Teach. Now, what does he lose against? He loses against Enel. So that's another thing Enel has going for him. He's good into Zoro and Rayleigh. Piss Kid's good into him too. That's why Piss Kid shows up in the top 10. Right? It's a very triangle meta at the moment. Loses to Bonney, loses to Lucci. Yeah, Lucci completely understandably kills a lot of his bodies really easily. And then Shoe Buggy, of course, stops this entire deck in its tracks. I really want that card banned, but people are gonna say that you're whining that you want a card banned because Buggy needs an answer to aggro. Yeah, how about an answer that can be answered back, you know, not one that can just stay on the board forever and just shut out your game plan without you being able to do anything about it. Sorry, getting off track there. So let's look at some deck lists here. So here is Rayleigh's top overall deck list. By the way, I have a Rayleigh deck breakdown. I have it for like every OP12 leader so far except for Rosinante, so check out my deck breakdown too while you're at it. So yeah, the OP12 cards aren't released yet, so the prices aren't going to show up just yet, but $81 for the rest of it, in case that's relevant to you. Is this any different from the deck that I ran? So it does run 3 of the unblockable event. I guess since it's a 2k counter anyway, it's no big deal to run this. 1 Divine Departure, that is spicy. Now this runs 4 Shakuyaku and 4 Nami. I think I run like a 4-2 split. And only 2 of the Sanji. I would assume that like the Sanji is like one of the best targets to cheat out with this Luffy. So I run it as a 4 of. In place, they run this 2k Brook. Oh, and only 2 of the Rush Zoro. So yeah, some of the ratios are different, but the core cards are the same. It's just the ratios that you run them in. So this is really in a nutshell. Now let's take a look at Yellow Kid. So you definitely want to go second with them. It's like a 10% difference here. Now what is he good into? Good into Yamato, Nami, Rayleigh, and Zoro. Claim to fame here. Good into Purple Black, good into Koala, which is kind of interesting because you play 8 drops, right? And Koala is supposed to make you take life, but I guess that's the only 8 drop you run, so that's fine. Good into Kuzan, that's also really relevant in this meta. And good into Smoker if you're going second, also really relevant. Huh, maybe I should pick Kid back up. He seems to be good. Oh, but yeah, his weakness into Lucci and Bonney has been ever present in his existence, and then of course he loses to Blue Purple Leafy too, so if you lose to the best deck in the format, kind of hard to justify full committing, but you do have such a good matchup spread into like the rest of the meta that might be worth it. Oh, Enel though, have a weak matchup into Enel going first, just because you can't play on curve, I guess. And of course, yeah, into Blackbeard because you can lock out on plays and your entire deck is on plays, unfortunately. Let's take a look at the deck list to see the on plays that gets locked out from you. So 1 new card, the Kuma. OP12 Kuma is going to be like pretty well played yellow card. It's generic, it's runnable in every yellow deck. It's a good yellow card. Isn't that like a ban from like 2000s? Way, way away from here I'll be. Editor cut that part out. What used to be in the 6 drop slot? People used to run like Uruge and stuff, right? I guess this replaced it. And then this promo lot, I don't know how we're going to get it besides Premium Booster 2. And then there's like a best premium best volume, like those binders of like 9 cards that they give alt arts for. I think those are the only 2 ways for now, which is not how it's done in Japan. I think this was easily available in Japan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's gonna be hard for us to get it, unfortunately. But I don't think this particular 2k counter makes or breaks the deck. You just run a different 2k counter. No big deal. Run the Bedge that can stop an attack until you get this guy. Yeah, I swear, sorry, just a little personal gripe of mine. People will call your deck list trash if you're running like a 2k counter that's different from what they deem to be like the optimized 2k counter. It's literally like one of the least important decisions in most decks, so don't get your panties in a bunch. Just run Bedge instead. Now we got Zoro. Sorry, it's a really spicy video. I'm feeling pretty spicy tonight. Okay, so yeah, whether you're going first or second, you have a pretty good win rate, 54 versus 53. Makes it a pretty consistent pick in a tournament. Depending on your matchups, you're not going to lose too often, but you will lose against Enel and Kid and Rayleigh and Kuzan and Blue Purple Luffy. But if you manage to dodge these 5 leaders, you're good into everything else. You're especially good into Buggy. His whole game plan cannot like function because you can just get rid of his characters. It doesn't matter if you can prevent KO because you can just tap them and kill them. Green Yellow Latu can never set up because you can just keep killing his characters. Koala, yeah, you besides Mihawk, you don't play 8 drops or higher. And then you kind of do play 2 characters out a turn because you can refund Dawn, but it's done in a way where you don't play 2 characters out. I kind of went over it in my previous video in the Emu reveal where like green is like the counter to Carrot just because they can get around Carrot's leader ability where like you take a life when you play a character via a character's effect, but green just gets Dawn refunded to play a second character out of their hand, so it doesn't count. Surprisingly good into Lucci, I guess because Lucci these days depend on like the 4-cost Kuzan and Laboon, and you can just get rid of their setup. If Ice Age was back in the game, if like Great Eruption was back in the game, I do think Lucci would do good against Zoro. Right, those are sources of cost reduction that Zoro cannot interact with. But current state of Lucci, yeah, just cannot get any ground in terms of setting up KO against Zoro here, unfortunately. Get into Shanks, Purple Black, and Teach, of course. Like Teach gets decimated by Zoro. It just the on plays don't really affect Zoro too much, and he has a way to attack you twice with the event that cannot be stopped by Blackbeard. Then likewise, Green Purple Luffy, I do think you can get rid of the Sanji inputting pretty easily, right? No matter if they use the stage to give it +2 cost, like Toshige can rest it because it checks on base cost. So let's take a look at Zoro's deck list. All right, top overall deck list. Probably none of the cards are going to be available except for Cavendish, which is going to be $153, and Toshige's are $24. That's already $178, and that's like 8 cards in your deck. But yeah, this is the bog standard Zoro list. I think in place of this Nekomamushi, you could run like a X Drake instead, right, from the Bonney starter deck. Any/2K would work, to be honest. You probably never play Nekomamushi out. And yeah, 4/4, I guess they're playing 4 of the Zoro because they expect a slash heavy meta. This is relevant against Rayleigh. It's good against the Zoro mirror. So could see why this is run as a 4 of. And then yeah, the rest is just the green slash package from OP12. No hoodie, right? Hoodie's been more of like a niche tech card, not like an auto include. Though I do see like a Fishman variant. I don't see it on any of these 4 lists here. But yeah, there's like a Vanderdecken version of this deck that could be interesting. Okay, green Bonney. 54 versus 57, so you want to go second for a marginally better win rate. Good into purple black, Buggy, Yamato, Kid, Nami, Rayleigh. Good into Rayleigh. Good into Law as well. Good into Kuzan if you're going second. Good into Koala in general. And then the decks that she struggles against is Blue Purple Luffy, of course, and then Lucci. This has always been true, especially because Bonnies now don't run that Basil Hawkins blocker that used to get around Lucci. Also Teach, I guess. Okay, yeah, Bonney, if they depend on the 9-cost Shanks and stuff like that, can get locked out by a Teach. If they play more of the 8-cost Kid Fortress style, maybe that like fixes it. But I think Bonney these days run like a 8-cost Mihawk package. We'll take a look at the deck list. But Shanks, if you're going second, you're golden, or you're barely golden. But going first, you lose. Against Zoro, it's almost 50-50 actually. So yeah, I think we mentioned that earlier. It was a kind of 50-50 matchup. So let's take a look at the deck list. And we do see, oh no, wait. No 8-cost Mihawk here. So it looks like there's 2 prevailing lists. There's this one that still runs the 8-cost Kid, and then there's this one here that does run the Mihawk. This is the most played, 238 games. So let's take a look at both of these. So yeah, this is the standard Bonney. Running 3 of the Zoros just because I think Enel is more prevalent in the meta just to counter Zoro. So if you want to counter the Enels that are in the meta, you play 9-cost Zoro. In which case, why doesn't freaking OP12 Zoro play 9-cost Zoro then to counter Enel? I don't know. We Western players will have more time to tech against the meta than the Eastern players do, so we could see that development, right? We've had to watch the East play this meta, and then now we're inheriting it and building on top of it, right? We have more time to make more wild tech changes, but still runs 4 Shanks here and only 3 Kid. And Carrot is more relevant than the Smoker now, so no more Smoker. And also there's like Basil Hawkins that can give you a Don back. But yeah, runs Rosa Nante instead of the Koshiro just because yeah, 8-cost Kid is not slash. Makes sense. And Uruj is back in the deck, in this version of the deck. Let's take a look at the Hawkins version. So Hawkins version, this one runs the Koshiro instead of the Rosanante, and then the secret rare Bonney from OP12. Still 1 8-cost Kid, I guess, in case you need it. And then 3 Shanks, 3 Doflamingo, and then yeah, 4 of this Hawkins that just gives you 4 Don back for free. Crazy. The thing is, in this version of Bonney, there's no way to search it, right? They're not running the Perona or the Hiyori, so it's kind of hope you draw it. He's not a supernova, right? Yeah. Yeah, those are the 2 Bonney lists at the moment. Let's take a look at green purple Luffy. So better win rate going second by 6%. You want to go second if you can. Good into Koala, Buggy, Teach, purple black, Yamato, Kuzan, and blue purple Luffy. So that would be your advantage playing green purple Luffy. But you do lose to Lucci, Rayleigh, green yellow Law, Zoro, and then you go even with Bonney. If you happen to go second, you do better. You kind of go even with Kid, but if you go second, yeah, so turbulent matchups into Bonney and Kid here, and Shanks. Let's take a look at some green purple Luffy deck list. I don't imagine it being any different than it has been, because there's no really useful purple or green OP12 cards. Yeah, full deck is still past cards. Oh no, wait, there's Deadman's Game. That's new. So this is a tech option, I guess. Instead of Electrical Luna, you run these now. 3 Luffy Taro seems to be the standard now. It used to be like 0, and then 1, then 2, and now it's 3. So that's the deck for you. Yeah, everything else looks pretty familiar. Okay, looking at Enel, let's see how he counters some of the meta decks in the meta decks Okay, so first win rate of 45, second rate of 59, so you definitely want to go second. It's such a big disparity here. Going first, you are like way more likely to lose. Good into Rayleigh and Zoro by a large margin, 78% into Rayleigh, 67 into Zoro. But what do you lose to? Of course, you lose to blue purple Luffy by incredibly high rate. you have a 27% win rate into him. Against Teach, he just locks out your leader ability and locks out your ways to heal. Buggy, how does Buggy beat you? I guess he can bottom deck your stuff late game. And he has a lot of attacks. That's kind of how you get around Enel to make him actually like take life and then keep the life off. Koala beats you going first, but going second, you do pretty well into Koala. That's interesting. Bonney, just horrible matchup in general. And then a lot of like swingy ones, right? Against like Lucci, Shanks, green purple, and Kuzan. If you go second, you're golden. If you go first, you're not. But Interestingly enough, into green yellow law, it's the opposite. So let's take a look at some deck lists for Enel. So let's see what's new. What's new is this Sabo. Makes you take a life and then you draw 2 and trash a card from your hand. Why is this better than the Sanji from EB02? Is it just because you have +3 cost? Because doesn't this do the same? Same cost, same power, same draw. Oh no, this one adds the top card to your hand. So you're +1 more card in draw. So that's why you run this Sabo. And yeah, it's a little more sticky, right? It's a 8 cost on board, 8 cost on board. I saw the 6 and I added 3 to it and it made 9, but it's a 5 cost, 6,000 power. Oh, also this Doflamingo is an option in OP12. If you have 2 or less life cards, this against rush and then on opponent's turn. Okay, so if Doflamingo dies, you heal. That's really relevant in an Enel deck. Kuma, if he dies, you heal. If you play him out, you heal. That's really relevant. 2 8 cats just to put, I don't know, Kikunojo back into life. Then 2 8 kids so that you win the stall game. And of course, for Enel, you need this. Yeah, this deck still probably dies to teach, as we saw from the matchups. It's running 4 of the Egghead Luffy instead of Nami now. 4 drops is where you want to kill stuff. And you have Zeus to kill the 5 drops, I guess. I guess since you're running less triggers, you can't depend on the Nami. Right? I only see like Hawkins, Kikunojo, and then your veg 2k, and then that's it. Yeah, I guess that makes sense why you don't run Nami anymore. It's just less consistent. So this is the Enel that beats Rayleigh and Zoro, eh? Okay, we got Red Green Smoker, who completely has switched over to 8 cost Mihawk. Well, actually, no, I can run Fortress pretty well still, but yeah, going first is what you want to go. 51 versus 49. Get into Buggy, Teach, Green Yellow Law, Koala, but loses to Rayleigh, Lucci, Shanks, Zoro. You do well into Blue Purple Luffy going first. You do well into Green Purple Luffy going second. I would say this is pretty turbulent, right? If you get lucky with your matchups, you'll do well, but if you get like all your bad matchups, you do not too hot. Let's take a look at deck list though. Okay, so the most performant one here does run the slash package, right? We see Perona that can search. We run the Kinemon now just because it's a slash green 2k counter. Koshido to protect your slash. 4 of the Bonney just to draw cards. Also gives you Dawn back for your Paradise Waterfalls too. And yeah, the Mihawk giving you 4 Dawn back. So the thing with this deck is if you have 5 cost Smoker out and your leader ability active, 8 Dawn for a Mihawk, you get 4 back. So he's 4 cost, and then you get 3 Dawn from your leader plus the 5 cost Smoker. So he's like a 1 cost AK blocker in this deck. So that's why it's kind of insane. But yeah, only 1 dead man's game. Still 2 Igloos for defense because like between the Mihawk and then the 5 cost Smoker, you're getting so many Dawn back. Just to leave Dawn up is really easy to do in this deck. Of course, you can also fit in a Mole Pistol into any turn with all the Dawn you get back active. I think in PRB02 with the Kobe and then the Law, this is just a preview for the future. I think these 2 cards turbo buff Red Green Smoker actually. So yeah, Red Green Smoker at the moment still top 10, but I think like it pushes top 5 with these 2 inclusions. I think that's just an early prediction. We could see the meta shake up differently, but that's Smoker for you. Okay, Shanks is still top 10, my boy. 47 going first, 53 going second. You want to go second. What's he good into though? So good into Purple Black, Smoker, Kuzan, Law, Nami. Or not Nami. Nami going second, but not going first. Good into Yamato overall, and you die to Blue Purple Luffy, Teach, Zoro, and then you die to Green Purple going first, but Buggy going second. And Koala beats you going first as well. I didn't know Koala was good into Shanks. I guess I didn't face any. Did I face any in my deck breakdown video? I must have. But let's see what's different. Did he get anything new? He got like a blocker, right? Yeah, this 1 blocker Shanks. Oh, so the thing is, on the East, PRB02 is allowed. I don't think the ranked queue has a way to enforce that, but in the sim it's allowed, so we do see these cards show up. Let's take a look at a different deck list then. So let's take a look at the most played instead. Okay, so this one looks pretty OP12. It's very KO focused, right? They have power reduction in Otama. Yasop to give Dawn to anything that you need, even to leader, make it so that you can hit Blue Purple Luffy. 3 Uta Searchers, 2 Shanks for removal. And yeah, here's that new blocker. Turns any card in your hand into a minus 2k. This is more relevant than the 2k counter because Zoro can attack twice, right? So if you minus 2k him with the Shanks, plus your leader ability, that's minus 3k for 2 hits. But unfortunately, you still lose to him, no matter, despite that. But yeah, Benbackman, Newgate, and Rayleigh to utilize all your power reduction to KO even more. Top end is just 222, all the Shanks here. Who runs the Igloo for defense, okay. And then the stage for minus 1k power. So yeah, very KO focused Shanks deck here. And then rounding things off is Blue Kuzan. First win rate of 45, second win rate of 52. So you want to go second if you can. Good into Yamato, Buggy, Turbulent into Enel. but good into green purple, turbulent into red green smoker. You good into Zoro. You good into Rayleigh sometimes if you're going second. But where do you have your weak matchup? So you died to Lucci, blue purple Luffy, Kid, and green purple Luffy. At least these three are going to be very widely played. Having a Lucci weakness is also never a good thing in case there's that one crazy Lucci that decides to play it. He makes it to the top 8. It happens, you know? And then, yeah, against Teach, you can't use your Garp to play out 2 characters, so that stops you. I guess that's also why, like, Koala, if you're going first, and that's not your strong curve to begin with, you just outright lose to her, right? 38% is really low. So let's take a look at the deck list. It's probably going to be exactly like the one in my deck breakdown. Oh, nope, no, it's not. There's some differences, so let's take a look. So what's different? They run this Aramaki blocker, which is a tech option in my deck breakdown video anyway. I mentioned it, right? Just an alternate card that you can cheat out with the Garp here. Also, Gion. Gion is also kind of tech against blue purple Luffy, and especially Nami, blue Namis. Everything else is the same though, right? It's pretty inflexible in the cards you want to run with the blue Kuzan deck, just because most of the cards that he can run are in OP12. Okay, so that's blue Kuzan for you. I guess that's all I got for you guys. So yeah, that's the video for this week, week -1. What do you guys think? I'm not too surprised by this top 10. It's kind of trending how I thought it would trend, right? There is a slight bias for the new leaders. I think some of them might like even out over time. I don't think it's going to change too much. I do think Green Zoro and Red Rayleigh are definitely top 10 decks. They're not going to leave top 10 or even top 5. Blue Kuzan, it remains to be shown if he'll stay top 10. But I don't think he'll go any lower than like 15, right? It's a pretty strong deck. I think for Smoker might go up and down. I think Smoker is a deck list that needs to be figured out still even. And we could see Bonney go down as the meta progresses. Shanks, I think, will definitely leave top 10. Who do I think will replace it? Well, among these choices, I don't think any of you guys will replace it. So maybe Shanks can stay top 10 just because I don't think anything else can be better. But yeah, that's going to be week -1 for OP12. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. Any feedback would be appreciated. If you're a new viewer, please consider subscribing to my channel. I post like nearly daily. I have a bunch of other different kind of videos, different variety, so you won't get bored, I hope. And I guess that's it. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Car D Kaizoku.